I'd like to call the regular board meeting of August 25th, 2015 to session. If we can, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Johanna Haver. Ms. Haver.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to go ahead and start with, there are no substitutes this evening. Everyone is here and accounted for. So if we can begin with the student life reports, Mesa Community College. Welcome. First report of the year, no pressure.
You can tell how often I use PowerPoint. President Livingston, members of the board, Chancellor Glasper, members of CEC, and guests, welcome from Mesa Community College. I do want to announce that we have one sub. Inez Lopez was not able to come this evening, so Chris O'Connor graciously agreed to step in. Before I begin, I would also like to thank Dr. Pan and Dr. Sonia Pearson, our Vice President of Student Affairs. Without the two of them and their support, I think both spiritually and financially, this event would not be possible. And I think the fact that they demonstrate a real commitment to students and to innovative programs by supporting this. I'd also like to thank my colleagues in Student Affairs. One of the things that I think I'm most proud of in terms of this program is it is very cross-divisional. Without the support of advisors, folks from Student Affairs, and the work of me in academic affairs and some other faculties that I collaborate with, this would not be possible. So, Bridging Cultures. What Bridging Cultures is it's essentially an opportunity for students to engage in experiential learning. It's a 4-day, 3-night field trip across the Southwest. We stop in multiple community-based locations. For instance, one of the stops is the Butte Monument Camp in the Gila River community. This is the remains of a Japanese internment camp. And at this location, we actually have community members come and work with the students. Dr. Richard Matsushi is a survivor of one of the internment camps from California. And Paul Shorthair is one of the leaders of the Gila River community. So, rather than have another opportunity to listen to a faculty member from MCC, we worked very hard to identify community experts to come and share their knowledge and their wisdom with our students. We also stop at a community-based organization in Tucson called Borderlinks. They do holistic education around border issues. We stop on the Tohono O'odham community, and there, the last couple of years, we've actually met with community activists that talk to us about what it's like to be on a sovereign community that straddles the U.S.-Mexico border. We also stop in Chicano Park, and I just forgot the name of the individual. Angelica Yanez, she is a danzante. She does Aztec dance. And she comes and she spends time talking with the students about the murals, the history of that park, what it means to the community there in the Logan Barrio. So again, this is experiential learning that's truly, I think, embedded in the communities that we go and visit. And in the interest of also serving the needs of our college, we do everything we can to assess our student learning outcomes. As you all know, student learning outcomes are an essential part of our college's accreditation. So what we have done on this trip is we have aligned our formative and summative assessments with the assessment practices that we have at MCC, which are called the 4 C's: communication, critical thinking, cultural and global awareness, and civic engagement. So we ask the students a series of questions at the beginning, at the end, to basically gauge how they have improved in these areas. Before I turn the mic over, again, I think it'd be irresponsible for me to not thank the district's Center for Civic Participation. With their support, we were able to send a few of the students on this trip to present at a national conference, the Democracy Commitment in New Orleans this last July. So part of this trip, we are very dedicated to helping students develop all of the skills that they need to be successful in a career, in a four-year university if they choose to transfer. So enough from me. I'll turn it over to Meredith Warner, and she'll tell you about her part of it.
I'm going to be brief because I really want you to hear from the students, but I wanted to present a little bit of information relative to the program itself. We know that at our colleges that diversity programming happens in pockets. Sometimes it happens in our social cultural sciences classes. Sometimes it happens in our student life departments. Sometimes we're fortunate enough to have an incredible event on our campus that's hosted by our American Indian Institute. But the collaboration between academic affairs, specifically Dr. Sosa, and the sort of brainchild of working with all of the student affairs organizations, in addition to bringing curriculum to travel with our students. And there were 55 of them that he traveled with, which is a fairly robust number. And they were all students with a couple of program advisors from Multicultural. It's not an inexpensive experience. So I'm sure you're looking at that map thinking 4 days, 55 students. We did something different this year with the support of our administration and all of our student affairs departments, in addition to some of our education departments. We pulled our funds together to support this. And so we felt very fortunate that this has gone on by doing so. Robert and I did partner this year with our grants office to apply for that NEH grant. So our hope is that this will be funded for the next 3 years, in large part by the NEH grant. I think we have a good shot, so I'm really hopeful. But I did want to, at least for your sake, understand that I am interested, our institution's interested, our district is interested in how this affects our students in terms of retention and persistence. There's a really small graph when I look at it from here, but you can see at the top line it tells you sort of where MCC as a general population sits and where those who went on the trip sit. And the first is, this was pulled in June because we initially pulled this data relative to the presentation that we gave at a service learning conference in New Orleans. And by June, we had a much higher percentage of our students who had been on that trip who recognized that re-enrolling at Mesa Community College was something that they wanted to do. In addition, we looked at their success rates. Their success rates in their classes for the spring semester were higher than the average, 87%, 73%. You can see that even our withdrawal rates were far fewer at 9% versus 17%. So I felt this information was relative to this particular audience, but I don't want to take another second of your time because I really do want to give it to the students so they can talk to you about their experience.
Hello. Y'all are a bit of an intimidating bunch, so excuse me if I'm nervous. My name is Adilene Lizarraga, or you can call me Addie. If you can't tell by my shirt, I am a student at Mesa Community College. I am a member of Women's Rising, MECHA, and I'm also the Vice President of Communications for ASMCC, which is Mesa Community College Student Government. That's what we are. I was very fortunate to be part of Bridging Cultures last year. As my first year that I was able to take part of the trip. And I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it, and I don't mean it as an overstatement, that Bridging Cultures really did change my life for the better. It was the first time that kind of in this American system of education that I was really exposed to parts of my culture that I hadn't really experienced before, growing up from kindergarten through high school, through even some of the first years of my college experience. More profoundly, I was affected the most by our stop that we had in the Tohono O'odham Nation. As an undocumented immigrant, it has been 15 years since I visited my home in Mexico, since I saw my family over there. And the biggest impact that this trip had on me as we were there in the nation, the mountain that separated the border was right behind us. And I remember looking back and thinking, I am so close, but I'm still so far away. And even just thinking about it now, I still get emotional about it, so excuse me. I recall that 3 of the members that were with me and that are very good friends of mine are in the same legal situation that I am. They are also undocumented, and they don't have the opportunity to visit their homes. And I remember that we kind of separated ourselves from the main group, and I separated myself first, and they followed me, and they saw that I was very emotional. And they knew what I was thinking, and they saw the emotions that just kind of surfaced. For me, I felt stuck between a country that I've called my home for all these years, but doesn't necessarily recognize me as one of its own. And I felt stuck between a country that I obviously was born in, but I couldn't necessarily call it my home either. I felt frustrated that as an undocumented student, I don't have the financial aid that a lot of my peers have, that I have to work a little bit extra harder so that I can make sure that my dream to finish my education becomes a reality. This upcoming year, I'm fortunate enough to be able to be, I was named one of the student leads for the incoming 2016 group that's gonna partake in this trip. And for me, I'm nervous and excited to be able to have the impact that this trip had on me. Like I said before, it really did change my life for the better. I'm able to have more confidence. It might not look at it right now because I'm a little nervous, but I did gain a lot of confidence in not only my culture and my people and myself, but I was able to say that this trip is really important. And I do want to give a big thanks to Mesa Community College for making this trip possible. Not only for me, but I know that it had a huge impact on other students as well. So with that said, I don't want to keep rambling, but I really do want to stress the importance of this trip and the impact that it had on me. I saw how it affected my peers. I saw people that didn't necessarily agree on many of the topics, especially immigration. I saw them have a change of heart, and I saw them put a human face to this issue. And maybe me saying this to you, that I am an undocumented student, you can put a face. I had spoken with Mr. Rufus Glasper, and I had thanked him because Maricopa County has always supported undocumented students since the implementation of DACA to receive in-state tuition. And now the state universities have continued down that pathway. And so I am incredibly thankful to this district, to Mesa Community College, for allowing me and thousands of others to be able to continue on this journey of just bettering our lives, and Bridging Cultures is part of that journey as well. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Okay. Hi, I'm Chris O'Connor, and I'm with Mesa Community College too, and I was given an opportunity to go to Bridging Cultures last semester, which was actually pretty cool. I didn't think that I would get in. I'm an older student for Mesa Community College. I was a return student, so here I am. Hello. But hopefully I'm going to be graduating this December with my associates in emergency management and operations. So that's really exciting for me because I'm on another path in my life, and I'm pretty excited about that. One thing I want to talk about is I am a multiracial. My father is Japanese. He's from Okinawa, which is a small island off of the mainland of Japan. My grandmother was actually in Nagasaki when the bombings hit, so she remembers her grandmother losing her hair in the radiation. When I went to the internment camp, which is one of the main reasons that I wanted to apply to Bridging Cultures, is because I wanted to get in touch with my own roots. So I applied in hopes that I would get maybe a better understanding of the past and associate it with my own culture, or half of my culture. But I was really touched by his stories, and I was touched by the environment of being in Arizona and the culture of Japanese people being in the internment camps. It was really touching to kind of see everyone just be in awe about this man's story. He was actually 5 years old when he was in the internment camps, so it was relatable to my grandmother's story. And I felt really close to the land and the spirituality of the Bridging Cultures trip. I actually felt that I learned a lot about the different cultures. Chicano Park was one of my favorites as well. And I learned about the civic engagement. I'm a civic engagement scholar at MCC, so I've been putting forth a lot of my service towards civic possibilities. And Bridging Cultures helped me grow. I'm an older student, but I'm able to grow even more as a student, and I was thankful to be given the opportunity to participate in that trip. And it didn't last very long, And I wish that it had, because it was really, really fun for me, and I got along with a lot of people, so it was I want to say it was a blessing, but it was kind of a great opportunity for me, so thanks for listening.
All right, everybody. So I'm Nathan. I am an alumnus of MCC. I graduated in spring of 2014. I was on the very first Bridging Cultures trip, and I got invited back to have a meeting with Robert Souza about the makeup of the trip and what we do. And we have essentially the same stops as we had the first year. But he invited me to engage the students to take the experiential learning to another level. So what I focus on the trip is I am a part of training the student leads, as Addie was saying. We have 4 other folks that are going to be a part of this trip as well, and we're a part of this trip that we just took in 2015. And we train them. We go through workshops so that they are able to facilitate things that are going on the trip, discussions, so that they have the know-how to do that. We go through empirical data, readings and such to prepare for it, and all that has already started for 2016. And one other thing that we do is focus on group atmosphere. So when folks on the first trip just kind of came on the bus, it was they sat with friends, they would go to the events, they would see what was going on, and then go to their hotel rooms and maybe speak about it, or just have fun and enjoy their free time. But when I came onto it, what we ended up actually doing was going through laughing yoga, which is an exercise I love, where you just get super silly. Every sound effect that you do is like a chainsaw. So it'd be, you're ha ha if you're trying to start a chainsaw. So it lightens the mood. It has everybody be inclusive. So I feel when people are most comfortable, that's when they are going to learn the most. Essentially, there's a lot of other exercises that we have on these that I won't go through, but it starts the conversation. It really brings about an understanding that things are going on in our backyard on a day-to-day basis that we may not know about, that we may not learn from our textbooks as we're growing up. So this is a great opportunity for those folks to see that, and we take 55 students each spring over spring break so that they can see it. So we don't want to take up too much of your time. We would like to thank the governing board for having us here to be able to present. And if we have any questions, please just ask.
Governing board members, any questions or comments? Mr. Gutierrez.
Not a comment. Excuse me, not a question, but a comment. I want to congratulate and thank President. My machine isn't on. Just been told. Can't get away with anything there, Mrs. McGrath. That was a stage whisper. I want to thank President Pan, Dr. Sosa, and all of you who were involved in this. Look, there's just a paucity of educational opportunity for people of color about their own cultures in this state, be they Native American, be the Mexicanos who have roots here since 1848 when the border crossed us, be they African Americans who began arriving in great numbers after the war, and many who were here long before. That's lost history. That's lost culture. If we don't capture it, if we don't begin to write it, if we don't begin to record it, if we allow our grandparents, great-grandparents to pass away without capturing those memories. Some of them are horrible memories. Some of them are memories that other people would rather we not capture. But they're part of what made us. And so I want to thank, as I said, particularly Dr. Penn and Dr. Sosa. And I want to thank each of you for taking part in this, for all of you who took part in this. This is an extraordinary program. Look, it's a program that will be open to criticism. Undocumented people don't often get welcome with open arms everywhere. I understand that. And I understand that recalling the fact that there were prisoner of war camps and internment camps dotting the desert is a memory that many would choose to forget. And I understand that. But I insist that it is part of
part of who we are, and we cannot deny it away. So thank you all very much. Those were extraordinary testimonies from both of you students. Thank you.
Board members. Mr. Doyle. Mr. Burke.
Yes, I appreciate this presentation. I think it represents countless programs that we have in this district that reflect academic excellence and opportunity for students. And I want you students to know you're the reason we're here.
Any other comments or questions? I'd like to say one thing. First of all, I want to do laughing yoga more than anyone here on this board. I was very touched by each and every one of your presentations this evening. For you to say that you're nervous, well, if that's nervous, I'd like to have a dose of that every day. Your words were exceptional, and you did bring a face to the idea that many in this state still have the time struggling with. And while the debate goes on, there are still faces that we must never forget. Older student, please. Please. Let's not go there. I commend you, number one, for going back. Number two, for sticking with it. The statistics showed itself. Any program that you're involved with has a higher rate of return for each of our colleges. That you chose this is even more special because it's near and dear to your heart. Nathan, for going back and being part of the program again, a lead, so to speak, I guess. That's what it really was. What are you doing now, may I ask? May I grill you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm a social work major. I'll graduate in spring of 2016 from ASU.
Oh, thank you. Okay, as long as you said ASU, you may stay. Congratulations. What a fabulous job. I hope you continue on many more. And if you can send me the website to Laughing Yoga, seriously, I'm all about it. Thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, anything else from the board? Okay, thank you very much. I don't know. Ms. Bednarik, can you top this? Bednarik?
No.
If I can get that name right, that would top the evening. Welcome.
Thank you. That's a tough act to follow for certain, and wholeheartedly agree. That's exactly why we're here. President Livingston, members of the board, Chancellor Glasper, members of CEC, and guests, it's my pleasure to welcome you back for another academic year. I sincerely hope that all of you had some time away to rest and rejuvenate, preparing for this fresh academic year. The faculty of Maricopa officially returned from their summer last Monday, greeted by a host of faculty and employee convocations to prepare for another semester. The students of Maricopa began classes this past Saturday, with the majority of students heading to campus and college activities on Monday. It is one of the best feelings this time of year to visit the colleges with many bright and fresh faces for our new and returning students and the faculty and staff there to help make it successful. This past Friday, Maricopa welcomed new residential faculty to the district. South Mountain Community College hosted an event, and Dr. Ramona Cox and her team at MCLI put on an amazing event focusing on student success and our ability, privilege, and responsibility to transform the lives of Maricopa students. These conversations were engaging and an inspirational way to begin the semester. We look forward to a great year ahead, and thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. And the Adjunct Faculty Association report, Mr. Leo Valverde. Oh, you're over there.
Hi.
Usually you're like front and center. Oh, always, okay. Welcome, sir. Welcome back.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Chancellor Glasper, members of CEC, guests. My name is Leo Valverde. I am president of the Adjunct Faculty Association. And I have one thing to report and an invitation to extend. Several times last year I reported that the AFA was working in conjunction with MCLI for the creation of an online district-wide orientation. I am very proud to announce that we have launched that program. It launched earlier this week. It is available to all adjunct faculty, both new and returning. It is meant as a resource both for faculty members who have just been hired to teach a class that starts tomorrow and they were hired today, but also with resources for returning adjunct faculty members for tips for teaching, policies and procedures for all of the colleges. And it is our hope that this will continue to grow and continue to be updated forever. And the invitation that I would like to extend. Now, this invitation doesn't require you to get up and go anywhere, and it's not a specific event. It is an invitation, though, for inclusion. One of the interests or one of the concerns for adjunct faculty, not just at Maricopa, but at many institutions, is inclusiveness. And I'm sorry to report that, far too often, adjunct faculty are omitted. Not by design, not intentionally, but it happens. For example, there was a committee that was formed over the summer that related to teaching, on the qualifications for teaching. It had representatives of residential faculty and administrators, but there was no adjunct faculty voice on it. Again, that wasn't by design, and it wasn't intentional. As soon as that was pointed out, it was rectified very quickly. But this happens far too often at all of our institutions. And the invitation that I would like to extend to you, the leadership, is simply to invite us. Whether that means calling, and talking with deans or department chairs or program coordinators to invite us to simple things like faculty meetings, curriculum development, textbook selection. In the 3 years that I have worked for this particular organization, only one of the divisions that I have worked for, and I've taught for 4 institutions amongst several divisions, only one of them has ever invited me to a faculty meeting. Now, there are some departments that do a wonderful job. We have a wealth of information and resources and energy and knowledge that can contribute. Part of my job is to get that information out there and to get my people to contribute, but we can't unless we have an invitation. And you may be pleasantly surprised when you have that. So please keep us in mind when you have committees for teaching, student success, whether those are standing committees or ad hoc committees. Committees that deal with scholarships, student achievement, anything that relates to our job, we are more than happy to contribute. And the simple invitation goes a long way. That's all.
Thank you, sir. I must say, and I think I speak for everyone, but please join in. Without our faculty, where would we be? Thank you to both residential and adjunct, and together you make one. And thank you very much. For Emeritus Awards and recognitions, Dr. Pan, would you like to present first?
President Livingston, with your permission, I'd like to approach the podium.
Yes, sir.
President Livingston, members of the Governing Board, Chancellor Glasper, CC College, and audience. To carry out the district mission, many people serve this district, but the most important workforce is obviously our faculty. Residential faculty is the lifeblood of our organization. Tonight, with great gratitude, I'd like to recommend to you for consideration for emeritus status 2 of our best. One of them, I'm not sure he's here, Dr. John Michael Symes, who's the former chair of physical science. He may not be here, but I'd like just take a quick second to mention this gentleman served 15 years as department chair of physical science, did tremendous work teaching, leading. He's an engineer by training. In 2009, we have won our first gold level green building, and he was served not only as the department chair, but almost a semi-architecture, designed, worked with faculty, truly left rich legacy. So I'd like to recommend him The second is Dr. Karen Harding. Dr. Harding and her family is here. I'd like to invite Dr. Harding to join me at the podium. Dr. Harding joined Maricopa College's Mesa Community College in 1984, become a counseling faculty member since 1990. And for all these years, she played various different roles. She counseled students, she taught, developed curriculums, served as department chair for quite a few years, from 2003 to 2014. She has a particular passion in serving students who are underprepared. She initiated a number of programs, including the SOS. It's really Students' Opportunity for Success programs. Another program, acronym STEP. Students striving towards excellent advancement of performance, STEP program. She initiated those programs specifically to inviting high school students to learn about the college culture, providing support services, mentoring. She did that for a number of years. She also served as a faculty advisor for the Mesa chapter of NAACP. She also served as the president of Maricopa Council for Black American Affairs. So during her decades of service, Dr. Harding has supported and mentored literally thousands of students, and she also worked with other counselors, other faculty, raised scholarships for many students. So with her contribution, I'd like to thank her for her contribution, recommend her for your consideration. Dr. Harding, congratulations, thank you.
Chancellor Glasper, governing board members, members of the Chancellor's Executive Council. I'm exceedingly proud to be here tonight to receive emeritus status. I was okay until my daughter walked in the room. I was so composed. My husband Floyd, and we have two beautiful young children, Ashley and Floyd III. They made it possible for me to engage in my rewarding career in the district for the past 31 years. I'm deeply appreciative of the Associate Superintendent at the Arizona Department of Education and former Senator Leah Landrum. Also, Mr. Charles Fennell, who is the Arizona State Conference President of the NAACP, and several of my students who they wrote written recommendations for me to receive the Emeritus Award. So to them, I say thank you for recognizing the 31 years of service to the students. I cherish my district colleagues, and some of them are here. And you know, if you start naming them, then you'll forget someone. But Jean Fazio, and I don't mean to forget anybody else, but I cherish my district colleagues and former students in helping me celebrate this career milestone. I value the bountiful working relationships I shared with each colleague and each student individually. Additionally, there are a few of my community partners and community colleagues who are present. I have to pause to thank all of those community members who came today in the storm. I have to thank each person for all the support, and I thank them for the many projects we conducted together to advance students on their pathway to success. My professional peers, my colleagues, students, and community associates have made my journey successful, and they've helped sustain my progress. They helped me learn, and they helped me grow as an educator and a mentor along the way. Together, we touched the lives of many children and students. Some support from many community members has helped me actualize the mission, this great mission of the Maricopa Community College District. And it's with the community support that lets me know that the labor of love that was individually and collectively given to the students and to the students' progress, has not been in vain. I accept this, thank you. Excuse me as I pause for a second. 31 years gets to you, you know, so, okay. I accept my emeritus status by sharing an email. This email was sent by a student to the new department chair. It says, "My name is Kahari, and I'm a current student at Mesa Community College. I'm writing to you to recommend Dr. Harden for emeritus status because she has given more than 10 years of helping students and is truly an educational motivator. I am going into my sophomore year and I have had great success. Such success includes major academic and leadership scholarships. I would not have been able to accomplish such achievements without Dr. Harden. Dr. Harden is a very special individual who strives for the absolute best in all students. I am standing proof of such a statement. Dr. Harden pushed me through academic challenges as well as aided me through the process of finding scholarships. She introduced me to the STEP program and has influenced life decisions that have improved my future. I know I am able to go to Dr. Harden for anything, which is a major factor in why I write so highly of her. And so once again, I have to say, I'm accepting the award, but it's because of all the people who were surrounding me and supporting me. And in closing, I would just like to thank Dr. Glasper, the students who I was able to serve, MCC administration, and mainly my community colleagues who have shared my vision of working for the greater good of humankind. Thank you.
Any comments for Dr. Harden?
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
Yes, sorry.
Sure.
I was headed to the park.
Every spring I get a chance to watch you in action as we celebrate the African American commencement.
Yes,
we're going to miss you unless that has been retained in your to-do list.
Perhaps.
I'd like to hear that. But thank you very much. That's an awesome experience for those students who are successful in setting a good example for their peers and students that follow them. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Mr. Gutierrez.
I just want to congratulate you. I know of your presence. I know your family's presence.
Thank you.
For so very long. And I know how much you've sacrificed, but I know one other thing. So many of our kids arrive there, they're intimidated. They're not sure what to do and where to go. It just seems so much easier sometimes for them to quit. And if it weren't for you there, keep this in mind, they would have quit. So there's a few thousand kids, 31 years of them, that you impacted. So thank you very much for that. No, thank your family as well, because you were everywhere. So they must have known where you were all that time.
Oftentimes I had to drag Ashley with me, so please stand down.
I'm embarrassed to say that I recall when she was only this big. Congratulations. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Burke.
I just wanted to point out, I worked with Dr. Harden for a number of years, and I know about her work, and I appreciate all of the comments that people have said about you, and I feel famous just having worked with you.
Thank you.
Dr. Harden, a final note. We gave you a wonderful award tonight, or no, the college.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you already have it. You've had it for 31 years, and when you read it tonight, that was just an additional award to go into your cap. You are amazing. 31 years. I hope to make it that long in education. Only 16, so I have a ways to go.
Yeah. Just stand
But-
on the shoulders of the students and you'll make it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you very much for everything that you've done for this college. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Gutierrez. Dr.
Just
Harden?
a shout out to Proud Floyd back there. Congratulations to you.
No kidding. Dr. Sherry Olson for the NJCAA All-American Athletes from South Mountain Community College.
President Livingston, members of the board, chancellor, colleagues in CEC, and distinguished guests in our audience and students. I'm here tonight with Todd Easton, our Director of Athletics at South Mountain Community College, and some of our athletes to celebrate the outstanding accomplishments of South Mountain Cougar athletics over this past year. Todd and his coaching staff have not only led many of our teams to wins and championships, but they have been a part of the academic success of our student athletes, which has been recognized by the National Junior College Athletic Association. With your permission, I'd like you to allow Todd to make this presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, Todd. Mr. Easton, good evening.
Good evening. President Livingston, members of the board, Dr. Glasper, members of the CEC, and guests. I'd like to make this presentation, and what I want to do is put a real connection between student engagement and the activities our students are doing on campus and the success in the classroom leading to success on the field, court, and course in our athletic arena. So for the first time in school history, we had the largest number of students and teams recognized by the National Junior College Athletic Association. We actually had 8 athletic All-Americans, which means students that exemplified superior performance in the athletic arena. And then we also had 7 of our 9 teams, which is tied for the most we've ever had in one given year, that were honored for their academic excellence. Starting with the academic side, 7 of our teams, volleyball, men's and women's golf, baseball, softball, women's soccer, and basketball, all achieved all academic status, which is 3.0 GPA or better, and were recognized by the National Junior College Athletic Association. Our entire department, including the other 2 teams that are not on that list, we had a department GPA of 3.26, which is our second highest we've had in the history of our program. 2 years ago, we actually hit a pinnacle of 3.35 as an athletic department GPA. Recognizing some of our athletes, this is one of our student athletes. This is a softball player on our team last year. She was named our South Mountain Community College class valedictorian. And the ironic thing is kind of the runner-up was a volleyball player on our campus as well, which we're going to highlight. But Brianna, not only did she have a 4.0 in the classroom, she far exceeded expectations on the field as well. She led our Arizona Community College Athletic Conference in home runs by an individual athlete on the softball field, and she was also she received a academic and athletic scholarship to play at Lincoln Memorial University. The next group I want to honor is our volleyball team, and I'd like to ask the volleyball players and our head coach to please stand. Coach Mooney and these young ladies, and again, this is kind of a reoccurring theme. This is the 5th time in 9 years that this team has been the National Junior College Academic Team of the Year with the highest GPA in the entire country for the sport of volleyball, nearly 500 teams that compete in volleyball. As a cumulative group, 3.82 GPA. And I also wanted to recognize our head coach, Pat Mooney, was also named the Conference Coach of the Year last year. So hopefully you can kind of see the correlation to the dedication, the discipline, and the hard work in the classroom is obviously rolling over into the athletic arena as well. So thank you to the student athletes and Coach Mooney. I think you've done well to represent our college. The next group I'd like to honor is our men's golf team. Moving over to the athletic side, the 3 gentlemen already standing, and Coach Walker as well. won the National Junior College Division II National Championship last year when we went to Alabama. This is actually our 5th time winning the national championship at South Mountain Community College in the sport of golf. So it's been kind of dominance, and our head coach, Coach Walker, was named the National Coach of the Year. And I don't think in the 2 years he's been the leader of our program, I think he may have spent 3 days not ranked number 1 in the country. So it's quite an accomplishment. And again, the ironic thing about this group, the special thing about this group is the 5 team members that went to Alabama were all freshmen. So, and anytime you have such great accomplishments, you think sometimes you're going to lose them to the 4-year school, and we did. We lost 2 of them to 4-year scholarships, and 3 of them are returning for this season. Now individually, I'd like to recognize the 8 South Mountain student athletes that received athletic All-American honors from the National Junior College Athletic Association. The first one, Connor Klein, is in the back. Connor, go ahead and raise your hand. Connor was the National Junior College Athletic Association National Player of the Year as the top golfer in the entire country last year. He was the individual national champion. He's the first individual athlete on our campus to win an individual award of that honor in any given sport. And Connor, again, is a freshman, and he will be returning, obviously after finishing as the number 1 player in the country, he will be returning to South Mountain Community College this fall. Ben Harden was another member of our golf team. He also received NJCAA All-American status. Ben is not here tonight. He received an athletic scholarship to attend New Mexico State University, and he is currently in Las Cruces furthering his education and his golf career. Next, Jake DeForest. Jake, raise your hand. And Jake was also a NJCAA All-American, and he participated in the national tournament for us last year. He is also was a freshman last year and will be returning to South Mountain and playing golf at South Mountain Community College this fall. So thanks, Jake. And Ryan Douglas on the end there. Ryan was also an NJCAA All-American, and we're kind of lucky that we have Ryan back. Ryan turned down a scholarship to attend the University of Tennessee this year to spend 1 more year under the tutelage of Coach Walker and try to win another national championship here at South Mountain Community College. So he is back again for the fall semester. Delaney Scanlon, one of our outstanding volleyball players, and she couldn't be here tonight. Obviously, you can see there at the bottom, she received a scholarship to Fort Lewis College. Delaney was a special athlete in our program. She was named an NJCAA All-American as well. And Delaney received the NJCAA Pinnacle Award for a 4.0 GPA, and she's the individual that I was talking about. If the first individual did not win the valedictorian, it would have been Delaney as the runner-up. So, Kevin Kelly was a member of our basketball team. He also was an NJCAA All-American, and Kevin is not here tonight. He received an athletic scholarship to attend the University of Montevallo, a Division II school in Alabama. And the next one, Alexis Evans. She was an NJCAA All-American in the sport of softball. She was also an honor student and received all academic honors. Again, tying the success in the classroom to the success on the field. And Alexis is not with us tonight. She's in San Angelo, Texas. She received a scholarship to Angelo State University. And last but not least, Sebastian Zawada, a baseball player. He was named an NJCAA All-American, set a new home run record for our college, and he received an athletic scholarship to attend Arizona State University, and he is over there this fall. So, again, I want to honor the student athletes and give them another round of applause for their tremendous accomplishments. And lastly, I wanted to thank the board and Dr. Glasper and CEC for the time you've given our program to talk about some of our student accomplishments. And special thanks to Dr. Olson and Dr. Osaro Igudaro, our Vice President of Student Development, with the tremendous support that they've given us. And Ms. Haynes here that put me under her wing 10, 15 years ago and helped me out.
5 years ago, maybe.
That's the end of the presentation. Anybody has any questions?
Any comments or questions? I just want to congratulate all of you, boys, ladies, coaches. Amazing, not only to put together such talented teams and coach them to continue to win with success, continue to win. Their GPAs, just amazing. And where they've gone on to, we must remember that. I mean, unfortunately, we can't keep them forever, but it's amazing that they're going on with such success. Congratulations, congratulations, boys and ladies. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Citizens interim. The board offers opportunity for members of the public to address the governing board. In compliance with the open meeting law, the governing board will neither discuss nor take action on issues raised during this portion of the agenda. When necessary, issues, will be taken under advisement and placed on a subsequent agenda. At this point, we have no one scheduled for this portion, correct? Miss? Okay. And so we move on now to the Chancellor's report. Dr. Glasper.
Madam Chair, members of the board, it's a pleasure to be here and to give a brief report. My vacation went well this summer. The first 3 weeks, I had an opportunity to stay in the Valley and to attend some appointments that were could only be scheduled in July. At least that's when they could meet with me, so I met with them. I was out raising money. We had an opportunity to meet with a couple of different foundations and to talk about the story of Maricopa. We are scheduling time with different congressional leaders. We have spent some time with some of the individuals that we visited in Washington, and just this week I will have an opportunity to visit with Senator McCain, which we did not get an opportunity the last time we were there. So I have been visiting with some of our congressional delegations on both sides, and beginning to talk about the issues that the Maricopa system will be facing, along with other community colleges, the Higher Education Reauthorization Act, issues around national accreditation versus regional accreditation, and others. I think we are being welcomed. They appreciate what we're doing. Many questions regarding the funding and what can be done in order for them to extend help at both the congressional, at the local level, and at the state level. I've had an opportunity and am scheduling other meetings with our legislative delegation here in the Valley and those within our Maricopa service areas. All of our college presidents are working within their own constituents as well. I think it will be a good year for us to talk about what we're looking at in terms of branding our system, in terms of looking at the economic impact, and what does it mean for us to begin to move in this entrepreneurial stage. It's an interesting discussion that we're having now, and I think one of our major challenges will be as we transition from the notion of 10 colleges serving 6-mile concentric circles to one of serving the entire community. We have a great opportunity now to increase the number of students that transition from one or more of our colleges over a 2 to 3 year period. Today that number stands at about 60,000. We believe, in talking to the HLC, the Higher Learning Commission, that as we begin to roll out our branding in the spring, that number can easily double, because people will know that we're building pathways among our colleges that can help them along their journeys to either go into a career in technical education or transition to the university. I look forward to the opportunity to work with all of our college presidents and our staff, faculty and staff this fall, because we are engaging them in a broader discussion about specific examples coming out of Maricopa priorities relative to One Maricopa initiatives, and 2 of those will be the web and the marketing and PR strategies. These are some tough conversations for us because, as was mentioned in the Finance Committee, we have 50 years of history, and now we're looking towards the future, and we need to be able to openly and honestly discuss these transitions and how all of us can advance the mission of the Maricopa Community Colleges. Thank you.
Employee group reports. Ms. Chris Bliss from the MAT Association, or MAT team. Thank you.
Hi. Good
I love
evening.
your name,
Thank
Chris
you.
Bliss.
Thank you. I'm fond of it as well. Good evening, members of the governing board, Chancellor Glasper, and members of CEC. I speak to you tonight on behalf of the Management, Administration, and Technology Employee Group, otherwise known as MAT. My name is Chris Bliss. For those of you who don't know me, you may have seen me on BAM or around campus. I work at Mesa Community College. Mesa's kind of in the house today. It's kind of nice. And I serve as the president for the MAT Executive Council for the MAT Employee Group. MAT remains the only classified staff employee group that is currently connected to their employee group, which means we continue to have executive meetings, campus meetings, and seek input from our diverse group of MAT employees. Because of this, the MAT representatives have also recently served as a conduit by which all classified employees can voice their concerns regarding issues that impact them professionally. We just wanted to make a statement and let you know that we plan on using this forum, the governing board meetings, as well as other avenues to ensure the voices of classified Maricopa employees are heard. And we look forward to working with all of you, having courageous conversations and spirited debates as we make the vision of a unified classified staff council a reality. Thank you.
Thank you. We now move on to the agenda, and we now move to the approval of the order of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Okay, thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. Any discussion? All in favor of the order of the agenda? Aye. Opposed? It has passed, 7-0. Consent agenda. Consideration of consent agenda action items. Does anyone wish to remove any items from the consent agenda?
Madam President, I'd
Yes.
like to remove 16-1 from the
16-1.
consent agenda, please.
It is not a consent agenda item. It's already in business services under 16.1.
Didn't read the bottom of the page, thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. So, all in favor of, may I have a motion to approve, please?
Move approval.
All in favor of the consent agenda?
Aye.
And those opposing? It has passed 7-1. Non-consent agenda, consideration of non-consent action items. Dr. Glasper, the first one is 15.1, and that is under your heading. Do you wish to comment?
Mrs. Livingston, members of the board, I would ask the board to approval of authorization for the joint usage agreement for construction of the Hope College and Career Readiness High School on the campus of South Mountain Community College. At agenda review, we had an opportunity to look at this particular action item, and we're asking the board's support on it. And I'm not sure if Mr. Saar and or Mrs. Haber might want to comment from the board perspective since they represent them.
Mr. Saar.
I'll just say that lots of discussion has taken place with this partnership between us and the Hope Charter School, and I think that this location for their first facility is a good one, and the fact that it serves the area around South Mountain, which we know is in need of what the Hope Charter School will provide. So I strongly support taking this first step on creating that campus.
Ms. Haber, do you have any comments?
Well, I agree with everything that Mr. Saar has said. It's been quite an exciting experience for me to see what started out as a dream to start moving towards fruition. And I heartily support having this college, especially on South Mountain Community College. I think there's a lot of shared activities and such that will be good for both the college and for the Hope Charter School.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Gutierrez.
I also support this, but I wanted to thank those of you involved. One of my concerns, especially given the early history, had been that we reach out to the community, that we reach out to the interest groups in that community, the religious community, that they understand what this is and that they had the opportunity to support it. I requested that you provide me with a list of each of those visits. I know many of the people on the list. I think it was really comprehensive, and I want to thank you very much for taking that suggestion seriously and doing that. I also want to thank President Olson for making sure that the community currently involved at South Mountain was informed, was enthused, and this ought to be a great partnership. So thank you.
Dr. Glasper, any further comments? All right. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All right, it has been moved and seconded. Vote all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It passes 7-0. 16, business services. 16.1, this is the approval of conceptual approval for the T2 building remodeling at Glendale Community College. Ms. Thompson, would you care to comment?
Madam President, members of the board, this is an 11,000 square foot building that was built in 1969. The programs that used to occupy the space have moved, or the college no longer offers them, and it's proposed to be remodeled to become more current and usable, and to house the food and nutrition programs as well as fitness and wellness, and we recommend its approval.
Any questions or comments on this? 16.1.
I move approval.
I don't know that, Mr. Gutierrez, do you have anything?
No, ma'am.
No?
Sorry.
All right. We don't vote on this at this point. Oh, we do, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's all right. It's been moved and seconded. Vote all in favor? Aye. And any opposed? Passes 7-0. 16.2, Ms. Thompson, approval of the conceptual approval for the Veterans Services Center remodeling and expansion at Glendale Community College.
Madam President, members of the board, this is one of our bond projects, and it's a relatively small project, but it is to both remodel space that's being used currently for the Veterans Services Center, and then to expand that about to double the size. The facility was originally constructed in 1977, and we recommend its approval.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Yes, Madam Chairman.
Yes.
Don't we have to have a motion first?
I
Right.
think for a question, you're okay. Yes.
You,
This is just a question, is it not?
No.
Or are you moving?
I would want to discuss this, but you have to have a motion before you can have discussion.
All right, would somebody please move that to discuss?
I move approval.
Madam Chairman, I second it for purposes of discussion.
Thank you, it's been moved and seconded, so Mrs. McGrath.
Thank you, Madam President. This building is 1,500 square feet approximately that is going to be remodeled, and then they're planning on building another building, attaching it to the current one for another approximately 1,500 square feet. The addition, the new building, will be built over a dry well, and the campus has several drains that go into this dry well, and I don't know what in the world will happen with them, and it'll be very, very close to another building. I'm very concerned about flooding because the land there at this particular location drains to the southwest, and they're planning on putting another dry well in to the north, and I don't know how they're going to get the water directed up there. It is an addition that exceeds the size needed, in my opinion, and definitely shouldn't be placed over this existing dry well and cause problems, I'm afraid, with the drainage. Also, in the existing building, there are two very nice bathrooms, both handicapped, one for men, one for women, and the architect's plan is to tear both of those out and put in one unisex bathroom. Cannot imagine how that's going to be repurposed in the future if it does need to be, and I think that this should be turned down at this time for further consideration, because I think they're spending $1 million that they definitely don't need to spend. I think that the cost could be greatly reduced, and the size needs to be reduced so they're not building over the dry well.
Mr. Gutierrez will go after Mr. Saar, if that's okay, sir. Thank you.
You know, I understand what's been said, and I think in interest of making sure we get it right, I would like to table this item and have Dr. Kovla arrange to have any board members that would like to come out and get a more detailed briefing so that we're more familiar with everything that has been said. So I make a motion that this item be tabled until a future board meeting.
Second the motion.
Madam
Mr.
Chairman?
Gutierrez did have a comment, so.
Well, my comment is that tabling this removes it from further discussion. So what I'd like to suggest to you is that we make a motion, a substitute motion to send this back to agenda review, in which case the discussion can proceed further at agenda review. And it is still open for discussion. So I offer.
I will retract my motion to table.
I retract my second.
I make a motion to send this to agenda review.
I second
There you go.
All in favor to move 16.2 to the agenda review? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
Nay.
It passes 6-1. Thank you. Ms. Thompson, 16.3, the approval of sale property located 8705 East McDowell Road, Scottsdale, Arizona, at Scottsdale Community College. Any comments?
Madam President, members of the board, this is a facility that was purchased for the college with the specific intent of housing a fire science program there. Since that time, the college merged that fire science program with one at Mesa, and at the same time, another program moved from Mesa to Scottsdale. The college has looked at other uses of the property, but there really are none that are quite suitable for it. So it has engaged in a number of efforts with the district office to sell the property, and we believe we have a buyer and we recommend its sale.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board?
I move that this be approved.
Second.
And thank you. Vote all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
Okay. Any opposed? It passes 7-1. I'm sorry, 7-0. Ms. Thompson, I'm sorry, Human Resources, 17.1. Will you do that for me? Thank you.
On 17.1, I'd like to table that motion until the next meeting.
May I have a motion to approve?
Point of order.
Yes.
The
Mr. Brooke.
appropriate motion is to postpone until the next meeting. The table motion is indefinite. If we postpone till the next meeting, that's correct.
May I have a motion to postpone?
That is so moved.
Madam Chairman.
Yes. Mr. Gutierrez.
I'd like to direct a question to the maker of the motion. Mr. Sarr, to postpone the motion means it is suspended in this agenda. Presumably, there is an interest in an executive session to discuss this in the September meeting. So should the motion be that we schedule this for an executive session?
I couldn't agree more. So my motion is to postpone this particular item tonight and hold an executive session prior to this motion coming back to us.
Second.
Point of order, Madam Chair. I'm not
Yes,
sure
Mr.
that
Burke.
the motion to postpone is for a business meeting, not an executive session. It is the prerogative of the chair to call an executive session to discuss this item. The correct motion is to postpone until the next meeting.
Madam Chairman?
Mr.
Burke,
Gutierrez.
As long as the intent is clear, then we can proceed with postpone. I just wanted the intent to be clear.
Okay. Mr. Gutierrez, Mr. Burke, ladies and gentlemen of the board, the executive session has been scheduled.
Is there one to follow in September meeting?
Yes, yes. So would that take care of the issue at hand? There is,
Yes, we can
okay,
postpone
very good.
and reschedule.
All right.
So
Can I
the
make a
motion is
comment,
simply to
please?
postpone this item until a future meeting.
Dr. Lasper, please.
Tina, can you repeat what you just stated? When is it scheduled for?
We have a standing executive session scheduled to follow the regular meeting next month.
Okay, so if it follows the regular meeting, that means action will not be taken until the month of October?
Or we can hold an executive session prior to that. So I want to postpone this item until the October meeting. So I think that it's in our historical, we've always had the executive session with the chancellor prior to this motion. So I will simply say to this motion is to postpone this item until our October meeting. The president has the ability to call an executive session to accomplish the meeting with the chancellor prior to that.
I'm just going through this in my head.
Madam Chairman?
Mr. Gutierrez.
Let me be clear on this.
Absolutely.
It is at least my intent that a executive session be called so that this item can reappear before us in September, not in October, in September. That would require the chair to call such a meeting, or it would require the majority of this board to petition for such a meeting. But that's how that would be accomplished, and I would request of the chair, and I'm only requesting that a executive session be called prior to the September meeting.
Yes, Mr. Gutierrez, ladies and gentlemen of the board, what I'd like to do, and Ms. Emmons, can you assist in sometimes sent out to the board? I'd like to call an executive session prior to the September meeting so we can have this organized and set for the September meeting. And may I work through you, Ms. Emmons, to give the board some times so we can make sure that it does meet with everyone's schedules. Would that work? However you want to move this at this point, I'm good. Does that work with Mr. Gutierrez?
Yes, ma'am.
Very
Thank you
good,
very
very
much.
good.
Madam President?
No, sorry, Mrs. Graff.
Thank you very much. I looked through my packet here, and I do not have a copy of the Chancellor's contract of employment, and I would like to have that as soon as possible so that I may consider it before we meet in executive session. And I'm certain perhaps other board members might like that also, to know what we are going to consider.
I'm going to take a guess at this. Ms. Thompson or Ms. Johnson, do you have copies of said or Mr. Combs? I'm going to defer to you on who has this.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we can get you, every board member, a copy of the Chancellor's
Excellent.
contract.
Thank you so much.
Just to review the motion at hand.
Please.
We are postponing this item until our September board meeting. Do I hear a second for that?
Sorry. Second.
The motion I made.
That is the motion we made, and I think we can already discuss that. I would work through Ms. Emmons for timing that works for all of you. May I have, please all, if you approve, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any nays? All right, 7-0. Information items. Thank you so much for your patience, by the way, board members. Thank you so much. And Dr. Glasper, thank you very much. Human Resources, 18.1. Ms. Shelton Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, and good evening. For the time period of June 1st through June 30th, we had a total of 30 new hires. And if okay with Madam Chair and members of the board, I will go ahead and read 18.2 for separations.
Please.
For that same time period,
Please.
We had a total of 25 separations.
Thank you. And that was 18.2 and 18.3?
18.1.
I'm sorry. So 18.3 is the review of separations for June?
Oh, and I'm sorry, I read
No,
those out of order.
that's
Actually,
all right.
I just read you June. So now I'm going to read you July. What I just read was June.
Got it. Thank you very much, Ms.
Okay.
Shelton Johnson.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, for the period of July 1st through July 31st, we had a total of 42 new hires. And again, I'll also go into the number of separations. For that same time period, we had a total of 32 separations.
Good. Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Shelton Johnson? No, all right, good. Monitoring reports, business services, 19.1, budget analysis report, Fund 1, general and restricted fund for 1 month ending July 31st, 2015. Ms. Thompson, would you care to comment on this?
Madam President, members of the board, this is just the first month of the fiscal year, so there's not a lot of activity so far. But as I reported in the past, in terms of expenditures, since most spending is in payroll and benefits, and that's occurring every 2 weeks, we've got about a month worth of that expenditure, and that's on par with prior years. In terms of revenues, the pace of collection is very similar to prior years. There's also certain patterns in our revenue collections, and if we're on cycle for ending the fiscal year potentially with a slight increase in fund balance.
Excellent. And 19.2, the same, but for the 12 months. Would you care to comment on this, Ms. Thompson?
Madam President, members of the board, this is a report that's a preliminary report for the full fiscal year 14-15. It's preliminary because we're still in the process of closing the books for fiscal 14-15. You'll receive a final report in about October, I think, when we're completed with all of that work. And fund balance is projected to increase by about $5 million and to meet the financial stability requirement of the board.
Very good. And 19.3, the 2004 General Obligation Bond Series A, Series B, Series C, Series D, and Series 2013-2004 Capital Development Plan Summary as of June 30th, 2015. Of course, this is preliminary.
Correct.
Do you have any comments?
Madam President, members of the board, we have issued all the bonds that were authorized by the voters in November 2004, and to date we have expended or have encumbered about 92% of the proceeds, so just about 8% that has not been expended or encumbered. While that has not occurred, there are projects that are targeted for use of those funds, so they're not available for other purposes.
Very good. Thank you very much. And we're at the point where we get to share with you our community involvement. Mr. Burke.
I have no report.
Okay. Mr. Gutierrez.
Madam Chairman, this really isn't a report. I just want to tell you, I had occasion to help a student that we're helping this year, and I don't know what the proper word is, mentoring, perhaps, go through the process. She went to Glendale, to Chandler Gilbert to actually register for the very first time. She's a student who has a GED. She hasn't been in high school for 4 years, 3 years, for a very long time. But she went to Chandler Gilbert and took the test there and went through the process there. I was with her much of that time. And so I just simply got to sit and watch and listen. So I want to tell you, it was great. It was she was treated wonderfully. Everyone went out of her way to make sure that she would be in the system. She wanted to go to Mesa, however. So a couple of days later, we were at Mesa, where she went through the process again of walking in, and she going through the process, going to the computers. There's all these young people in red shirts running around. They're not a baseball team. They're there to help students who need assistance, sort of going through this process. And again, I was just sitting there watching all this. She did it all herself. And it was it's such a terrific process. I mean, they were really, really helpful. I just know that's happening at every one of our 10 colleges, and that's just amazing how welcoming that process was. I went through that process at ASU, I don't know, 50 years ago, okay? But it was a brutal process. I mean, it was hostile. They didn't want anybody there. They surely didn't want me there. It appeared to me, anyway. This was such a welcoming process, and so I want to thank all of you, from the chancellor to all of the folks at Chandler Gilbert and at Mesa who made that possible. It was. And of course, we've all gone through, every board member has walked through, and you have walked us through what financial aid looks like and what the test looks like, et cetera. But it's another thing to go through with a student and with a student who's been out of school for a very long time. I mean, it could have been a very intimidating and unpleasant experience. It was precisely the opposite. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you for that. It's always good to know that the process works and everyone's so helpful. Ms. Haver.
Well, I would like to thank Mr. Gutierrez for his report, because I've been telling people all you have to do is show up at the colleges and they will help you out. If you don't have any money, they'll help you figure out how to find that money. Just go there, walk in the front door, and you will be taken care of. And now I know that's absolutely what happens. And so I thank all of you.
Thank you. Mr. Heap, any reports this evening?
A short report, and the whole a short report, and the summer was great. And all the next meetings were budget and finance, so we're starting off with a bang. So thank you.
And Mrs. McGrath.
Thank you, Madam President. I've had several pleasant experiences. I was concerned about the planting for the signage and the new area for lounging or performing or whatever it is over at Mesa Community College, and I asked for the plans for the planting and got great cooperation, and I was really pleased to see the plans. There's nothing on there that needs to be trimmed, Dr. Pan, nothing. I've discovered men like to trim, and it was a wonderful landscape design and very mindful of the dollars, and I appreciated that. And I also visited Glendale Community College campus to look at the proposed addition to the Veterans Affairs Center, and I had a wonderful reception there. The gentleman who runs that was wonderful, and I was taken around and given information by Mr. Al Gonzalez, and you have a wonderful employee there, Dr. Kovala. He was terrific, and I'm looking forward to working with him again. Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
remember that men like to trim.
I really have nothing to say other than Mr. Sarr.
Yeah, I'll pass on that one, but I just want to say that I did have a chance to visit the Maricopa Skills Center here last week, and every time I've gone there, I've seen the improvements in not only the facility, but also the programs that are put in place to serve a very unique set of students, from ages, to the 16-year-olds all the way up to those that are coming back into education to get the skills needed to do today's jobs, and they do an outstanding job. And if you ever want a special on meat, their meat cutting department has a store there that has some outstanding products. I'd encourage you to stop by early in the week, because by the end of the week there's not much left, but if you get there earlier in the week, it's awesome. Thank you.
I don't know, between meat and trimming. Wow, I have nothing that exciting to say between these two. I would just like to say this is an exciting time of the year. This really is, in all seriousness. Not only is faculty busy back in their classrooms, and I understand that feeling quite well, we have a general buzz on each of our campuses. And now that I'm about through touring each of the campuses, I had a fantastic time at Chandler Gilbert and Estrella Mountain. Thank you both for hosting me, and thank you very much for hosting me at 4:30 in the afternoon. Thank you very much for that, for waiting for me. There's a general buzz, and a general buzz means education. And we have daunting tasks in front of us, but we promise to work very hard this year for all of you, for the faculty, both residential and adjunct, the taxpayers, the students, and everyone on this board, and the presidents that work so hard every day to make One Maricopa a reality. So I thank you very much for your time, but don't leave yet, board fans. We still have more yet. We have external community reports. So Mr. Burke and Mr. Sarr. Mr. Burke first. Do you have anything to report, sir?
The AADGB met on July 23rd and elected officers for next year. Lloyd Hammonds of Coconino is the president. Dennis Nelson of Cochise is the vice chair. And Maria Chaboya, Arizona Western, is the new secretary treasurer. We also adopted goals for next year. I'm going to send the minutes to the board member through Tina and ask to share that with you so you'll have all the report from that meeting.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Saar.
ACCT is holding their annual conference in San Diego in October. I think most of the board members will be there. Look forward to meeting other board members from around the country, obviously, to learn from them what's working, what's not. As far as locally, the ASBA legal conference is coming up next week. I always look forward to that. It will enlighten us as to the new laws as well as how to keep ourselves from incarceration. So thank you.
Meat and incarceration and trimming. Next, the establishment of next meeting dates, times, and places. September 8th, 5 p.m., Board Policy Committee meeting, Governing Boardroom. September 8th, 6 p.m., Agenda Review, Governing Boardroom. September 8th at 7 p.m., Work Session, Governing Boardroom. September 29th, oops, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. September 29th at 5 p.m., the Board Budget and Finance Committee meeting, and this September 29th, this will be our regular board meeting time. The September regular board meeting date was changed from September 22nd as it falls on Yom Kippur. And for all, happy Yom Kippur, a little bit early. And we will see you then as the regular board meeting of August 25th, 2015 is now adjourned. Good night.